Johnny Mac with your daily comedy news. Did you hear about this quiet quitting thing everyone's talking about? Apparently, it's you do your job and that's it. Like, you don't check email 3 in the morning, etc. Trevor Noah said, yeah, that's right. People are quiet quitting. They're just going to their jobs and doing the job from 9 to 5. And then, wait, hold up. That's just working. People in this country are so obsessed with work. Guys, your job is just a place you go to avoid seeing your family. It doesn't need to be the most important part of your existence. If your job is from 9 to 5, that means work messages should stop at 5 too. Yeah, that's right. Any message after 5 is basically a booty call. If your boss texts you at 7:45 to see if you filed an expense report, it should start with a, hey, you up? Bottom line, you need to establish a work-life balance. So remember, if you hate your job, make sure you also hate your life. Bill Burr plays Fenway Park tonight. I'm looking forward to seeing the reviews there. Jim Gaffigan is in a movie. It's available on demand these days. It's called Collide. In it, Jim Gaffigan plays a heartbroken man who's just heard of his wife's affair. His world seems to be crumbling into pieces, and with nowhere to turn next, he confides in a man who has a dangerous idea for how to make it all go away. Jim says, Peter is very much a passive guy, and I'm not really a passive guy. I always think of myself as this Midwestern nudge. My entire career, I've wanted to do acting roles and roles like Collide, but you have no control over how the industry perceives you. I've always loved acting, and the more complex the character, I like the challenge of finding the character in me. Collide in theaters and on demand. Remember a while back, I told you that some idiots vandalized the Ricky Gervais After Life bench? If you've seen the show, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't seen the show, how do I simplify this? People are sad and they sit on a bench. That's what this is. A bench inspired by the Ricky Gervais TV show about loss has been replaced after being vandalized. The Afterlife bench in Nottingham's Arboretum was one of 25 donated to councils by streaming service Netflix and suicide prevention charity Campaign Against Living Miserably, aka CALM. The bench was vandalized last May. Residents were, quote, rightly angry and upset. A replacement bench has now been installed. That's good. A one-sentence note from the Hollywood Reporter. Polish broadcaster Polsat has commissioned a local language remake of Servants of the People. Servants of the People is the Ukrainian comedy that launched the career of President Volodymyr Zelensky. I don't want to get too political here, but I'm a fraidy cat. I can look at a world map and I see Russia, Ukraine, Poland. I'm not so sure I'd be going out of my way to make a sitcom about Volodymyr Zelensky right now, but I may just be a coward. From the laugh button, remember I told you they were making action figures of Bill Hicks, Joan Rivers, and Lenny Bruce? Well, they came out. The Nacelle Company, which is the parent company of Comedy Dynamics, has dropped the Legends of Laughter action figure set. You can get out your Bill Hicks, your Joan Rivers, your Lenny Bruce. You get out your other stuff too. Like I would do something where Joan Rivers meets Spider-Man. That seems like something that could have happened in New York. The figures retail for $36.99 a piece, or you can get the whole set for $110.97. Is there even a discount there? What's $36.99 times 3? Isn't that exactly $110.97? Maybe I'm too lazy to do it. Let me do $36.99. Somebody's already done this in their head and they're shouting at their phone. No, $36.99 times 3 is $110.97. Come on. Bundle this thing. You can't give me $1 off if I buy all 3? Whatever. Joan Rivers meets Spider-Man coming to a YouTube video near you. The Secret Movie Club has announced on Friday, October 14th, they will screen Richard Pryor live on the Sunset Strip. They plan to show the 35mm print, but they say, though, we reserve the right to screen on DCP. I guess that's some sort of digital projection. Movie snobs, you can tell me about that in the comments. There are no comments, Johnny Mac. I know. I meant Facebook group, Daily Comedy News Podcast group. Do it there. We reserve the right to screen on DCP if the 35mm print is too beat up or brittle. Jennifer Lee Pryor, Richard Pryor's wife, will be doing a special introduction ahead of the movie at 7:30. Following the screening, several noted stand-up comedians, they have not been announced yet. They're keeping that quiet, or maybe they don't know yet. Several noted stand-up comedians will join them on stage for a roundtable Q&A on Richard Pryor and his legacy to comedy. It's happening in LA. I could see some people showing up, you know. The Secret Movie Club says this is a special night not to be missed. If you like what I do here, you can buy me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/dailycomedynews. Listen to this one. This is so sad. It's got like 2 sips left. Anyway, you go to buymeacoffee.com/dailycomedynews. You can make a donation or a tip, as you will. I suggest $5, and I'll take your $5, and I'll go to the National Donuts chain, and I'll buy a large iced coffee with caramel and milk. Going to switch over to pumpkin soon, but they haven't added pumpkin to the app as of this morning. But when they do, I'll switch for 2 months. Are you guys pro-pumpkin? Anti-pumpkin? No, a lot of people get so mad about the pumpkin. Anyway, buymeacoffee.com/daily comedy news. From Yahoo, Frankie Boyle doesn't have any time at all for comedians who claim to have been silenced due to cancel culture. He said his confrontational and controversial stand-up persona is an act. I'm not one of those comedians who's like, ooh, I've been silenced. I hate those people. Anytime I hear someone saying that, I always think, how come I can still hear you? Dave Chappelle, Ricky Gervais. Frankie Boyle says he's become terrified of social media and refrains from tweeting edgy jokes. For example, Sean Connery died, and it was like quite early in the morning when the news came in. I was one of the first people to see the news. I thought of tweeting, they've shaken him and he's not stirred. Then I thought, nah, I can't do that. From Chortle, comedian Blake Pavey pokes fun at his terminal illness during his stand-up shows. Blake Pavey is 20 years old. He was diagnosed with cystic fibrosis, which is a terminal condition that causes severe damage to the respiratory and digestive system, resulting in thick mucus sticking to the lungs. Patients typically live into their 30s or mid-40s. As part of his show, Blake asked the audience, are there any other people dying in the room? One woman puts up her hand and explains how she has a hereditary family disease. They banter back and forth before Blake calls the woman a loser because she didn't receive a Make-A-Wish despite having a terminal disease. In another clip at a different show, Blake explains what CF is and the life expectancy. And then someone in the audience can be heard cheering. Blake laughs and seems shocked and says, he's gonna die. Let's go. That was the most positive way to tell me to kill myself. On a similar note, The Guardian wrote about comedians dealing with bad diagnoses. Sarah Mills got a test result in 2018. She had stage 3 bowel cancer, caught just in time. She said, even the way I got told that I have cancer was funny. They took me to a little side room and said, we've seen something angry looking up your bum. She almost stopped performing stand-up entirely, but then found out the jokes started to write themselves and finds this all a comedic gift. Terrence Hartnett also got a diagnosis. His symptoms? A testicle bigger than a tennis ball. I had a rare aggressive form of testicular cancer. My doctor said, I told my wife about your case. It's so interesting. And I thought, that's not a good sign. Chortle reviewed Dan Cook's show. Now, Dan Cook is not Dane Cook, who's 50 years old and recently got engaged to his 23-year-old girlfriend. Congratulations, Dane Cook. Now, as you can imagine, doing a Google search on comedian Dan Cook is very hard because that other guy comes up. But I found a picture of Dan Cook. He appears to be less than 50. So if you told me Dan Cook was dating a 23-year-old, I'd be like, yeah, all right, cool. Congrats, man. But maybe he just looks young. You know, I digress. From Chortle, 4.5 stars out of 5 for Dan Cook's loud bit, quiet bit, loud bit, quiet bit. Dan Cook asked the audience, can we talk about our parents' phone contracts? See, that's not something a 50-year-old who recently got engaged to a 23-year-old, congratulations, by the way, would talk about. This is a young man's joke. Can we talk about our parents' phone contracts? Someone at his London New Material gig the night of nights, one described Dan Cook as performing comedy like a man who's been trapped in a cave for a decade. He stalks around the tight stage, eyes swiveling, smiling unnervingly, whispering and shrieking in an almost rhythmic pattern. He unfailingly produces a mad energy that can pep us up even after 4 bad shows in a row. Moving on to talk about the highs and lows of the family's WhatsApp group, the failings of the internet, and griping about his neighbor's NutriBullet, which I had to look up is a juicer. It's striking how his stage presence completely recontextualizes this simple material. He's one of the most consistent and consistently underrated acts in the UK right now. Dan Cook. Trying to remember that name. I'm pretty sure you can remember Dan Cook's name. He's at the Underbelly, Bristow Square at 8:15 p.m. And that is your comedy news for today. Follow the show for free on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. If you recently got engaged to a 23-year-old, congratulations, and I'll see you tomorrow.